welcome to Wednesday's Walk with Carolyn. We are in week number 3 of our virtual summer camp, Wednesday Walks, and this week we have a special treat for you. We are out here in a wetlands. That's what we're talking about all week. We're going to learn more about the wetlands with some special friend that we have here at the Millbrook Marsh Nature Center right here in State College. It's actually right in the heart of State College, and it is a wetland, so let's go explore. As we start, boys and girls, you always want to kind of familiarize yourself with where you're going. So I know our friend will be able to share this with us, but I wanted to show you just right when you walk up to Millbrook Marsh, you're going to find this legend, they call it, where you can kind of see all the different paths that we might be traveling on today and that you can take your time exploring nature. All right, boys and girls, we're getting ready to start on our walk through Millbrook Marsh Nature Center. And we've taken off our masks because we're outside, and my friend Mandy and I are going to be socially distant. Remember, we're physically distant, and we're still going to be able to chat and show you all the wonderful things that you can find here. But because we're outside, we're going to keep our masks close in case other people join us. Well, good morning, and thanks so much for joining us, Mandy. Mandy, first let's start with your title here at Millbrook Marsh. What do you get to do as part of this fun program?
Yeah, I am the program coordinator at Millbrook Marsh Nature Center, so I get to organize all the fun activities that we typically have out here, our camps and our learning programs and our nature walks.
Wonderful. And a lot of things have changed because of our pandemic, but we're going to talk about that as we walk, and Mandy's going to tell us many ways that you can still come out here and enjoy, and even some day camps and some other programs that are still underway that you're doing very safely out here, right, Mandy?
Absolutely.
So we're starting out on the path, and Mandy, I'm going to be shooting this camera, and you just take it away and tell me kind of what we're on and what a little bit, I guess, first the history of how this got developed and why are we getting to enjoy this beauty?
Oh, well, this used to be a tenant farm for the center furnace industry, and we are now leasing it from Penn State, and we have been maintaining the property through Center Region Parks and Recreation.
So we're talking about the history, and go ahead. You were saying that you've got lots of friends involved in helping maintain this beautiful property.
Yes, absolutely. We have Center Region Parks and Recreation that Millbrook Marsh falls under. Penn State owns the land. We lease it from them, and then Clearwater Conservancy helps maintain the 50 acres of wetlands, and they have a conservation easement on the property, so they are protecting that land so it exists for everybody to enjoy, and it will be there forever. No buildings will ever be built there. We have 62 acres, and this is the 12 acres of farmstead, and the wetlands start past the kiosk.
Oh, okay, great. This is wonderful. So we're out kind of, boys and girls, in mid-morning. It was very rainy last night, and then it was very foggy early this morning, so we're seeing a little bit still, I guess, of dew on the ground here, right, Mandy?
Yes, the rain will push our long grasses down. We like to keep the grasses long for a habitat for all types of animals. We have the red-winged blackbird that will nest in these long grasses. So if you look closely, you might see the female protecting, and up higher you might see a red-winged blackbird.
All right, we are here at the beginning of the boardwalk, and Mandy, you're going to point out some things and why we have this in place here.
Yeah, so we've built this boardwalk. Volunteers actually built this boardwalk a long time ago, and we use this to explore the marsh, because if we were walking through the marsh, we might need to have big hip waders on to muck through, and also we might be destroying the habitats that are here. With people walking close to waterways, it causes erosion. And erosion is just a word for the water licking away the dirt and taking it away and taking the land away slowly. So we want to make sure that we don't have that happen. We have the bumpers on the sides here so that we can protect our guests And we ask that our guests don't walk on the bumpers, even though they look really fun to balance on.
Good, important point. How long is the boardwalk, Mandy, in all?
The boardwalk's a little bit over half a mile.
Okay.
And our trail system is a little over a mile worth of trails.
Wow. Now, boys and girls are asked to come out with a grown-up, I would assume, walking this and any of the trails. Shouldn't really go alone to do any of this.
Yes, we would make sure that we were with an adult.
And like Mandy pointed out, it looks really cool to balance your way through here, but we want to protect what we've got here in place and protect nature that's underneath it. And it looks like we're coming to a little bit of a neat overhang here. What are we looking at here, Mandy?
This is Bathgate Springs, and it is one of our 3 waterways that come into the marsh and combine in the marsh. So Bathgate Springs is a really cold spring because it comes out of the ground right behind the stadium. The Spike Stadium, yes.
Oh my goodness, now I see some bubbling, so it's moving.
Yes,
It is moving.
This is a very important stream for our trout that live here because they really like that cold water. So we like to keep those fish nice and cold, and we wouldn't want to warm this water up in any way. We like it freezing.
And it's so clear. That's a good sign, right,
Nice
Mandy?
and clean water. This waterway was actually used for the milk plant nearby, and they used this water. It was so cold that it would keep the milk cold enough that it would protect the milk. It wouldn't go bad.
Wow. So it was used for a good use as well as keeping those trout happy to swim in too. That's wonderful. And I do want to point out, boys and girls, that you can kind of have, there's a couple of cutouts too, I guess. You're safely able to kind of walk out here, really take a deep dive and look down and see if you can find anything as you look quietly out here. I can hear a lot of nature. What am I hearing, Mandy?
You are hearing a lot of different bird species here. Millbrook Marsh is actually a hot spot for birding. So if you'd like to come out with your binoculars, you can come out here and sit quietly and see many different species of birds that call the wetland their home, or it might just be a visiting area where they know that there's a lot of good food.
Either way, it sounds beautiful. Looks like I'm hearing some sound from that tree, but it's good if you sit and you're quiet for a while before you can see them too, right?
Yes, and this tree is one of our willow trees. So it is not a weeping willow. It is a black willow, and it is here because it enjoys keeping its roots wet. So we like to say it likes its feet wet.
As we enjoy this part of our walk, Mandy, I see we're coming to a do not enter because we're fixing this place up as we keep growing, right?
Yes, and the boardwalk, like I was saying, was built by volunteers, and it was built a little bit ago, so it needs some repairs for safety. So right now we have it blocked off to keep you safe, you and your parents safe whenever you are visiting. We hope to rebuild this section.
Listen for the birds, boys and girls. Can you hear them? All right, we're taking a turn because that place was closed, the little bridge there, but we're still on the walkway. Is that what it's called? Boardwalk?
Yeah, the boardwalk.
Okay. It's quiet and it's cooler here too, Mandy. It's really hot out, but you can't tell that right here.
No, you can't, because we are close to the water and we have a lot of shade from those willow trees. So this plant here is called jewelweed, and it has so much water in it. It's called jewelweed because when you put it underneath the water, you have to hold it under there. The underside will look like foil. And that is because it has so many little tiny hairs that you can barely see, and it'll trap all the air bubbles. So it'll go under there and it'll look so shiny, like a jewel.
Oh my goodness.
And the water droplets look like jewels too.
They do. That is beautiful. And this is natural foliage for this area?
Yes, and you'll see this a lot. It will get orange or yellow. There's a couple different types of jewelweed. It'll get orange or yellow flowers on it, and hopefully we'll see a couple along our walk.
Okay, let's keep going, boys and girls. Well, under normal times, Mandy, before coronavirus and COVID-19, you were doing walks a lot, right? And you've had to take it easy because of being safe for boys and girls and families, right?
Yeah, some of you might have been on a field trip here at the Nature Center. We have a lot of different school groups that come here, and we teach them about wetlands and why they are important.
So this might be a good place to say, why are wetlands important, as we look over your shoulder at some, looks like some more streaming water there.
Yeah, so our wetlands are very important for many different reasons. A wetland is an area that's lower on the ground, so all the water will run down to the bottom like a bowl, and it will slow the water down so that the water's not moving very, very fast. It'll soak the water up so that your basements aren't getting flooded or the parking lots aren't getting flooded around here. And it also provides a great habitat for the birds, fish, and other animals out here.
So we need to take care of the wetlands. They serve an important purpose.
Yes, absolutely.
What are we looking at here?
Here's a very great plant. So this plant here is called Dogwood, and it's starting to get its berries on it. So it would have a white flower before, and when the flowers all die off, the berries start growing. And the dogwood is important for those birds because they love to eat this native berry. This will provide them lots and lots of nutrition in the fall for migration.
This looks like a good place to stop, and it looks beautiful, but there's some things in the water that shouldn't be there.
Yes, so with the wetlands, remember it rinses down into that bowl. So if there is trash around the wetland and there's a storm that happens, it will rinse all that trash down here to the wetlands. And you can see that it slowed it down enough to stop this trash here. So it's kind of like a strainer. So as the water's going through, the marsh is collecting the trash and not letting it go back downstream.
Oh, so it's, like you said, a strainer is kind of catching things, and then we've got, volunteers who can go in maybe and help clean this?
We have volunteers typically whenever we don't have COVID going on. We have volunteers that'll come out here with waders because you can't just, it looks like you can walk in there, but there's a lot of squishy mud, you'd sink, so you need some waders to go in there. It's really fun to come out here and pull the trash out of the stream.
One more thing about trash, you said this was brought in, but we never want to leave anything behind on any walks, right, Mandy?
Right, and we believe that our visitors aren't littering in the marsh. Like I said, it is rinsing down from upstream. So remember, kids, if you leave something out in your yard and a storm comes, and the wind blows and the rain blows and your toys go missing or your candy wrappers go missing, they're rinsing down into the marsh closest to you. So it's important that we pick up our stuff even in our own backyard.
Who would have thought that that could have traveled that far, but that's how it works with our ecosystems.
So we went to a fork in the road, and we can either take the right way or the left way. The left way will take us back to a grassy area and back to the marsh, but we're gonna take the right way, and it will take us along the stream, and we'll get to see more fun animals.
All right, I was curious about these because they're big and unusual. Mandy, what are we looking at?
I love this plant. It reminds me of fireworks. It's called Angelica. Such a pretty name, and it does belong here at the marsh. So it is one of our native plants. And I like to remember when it blooms because it blooms around the 4th of July.
Perfect. You're right. It does look like a firework. What do you think, boys and girls? That is a big sparkler, if nothing else. That's beautiful. We're at an observation deck, is what this is called. So you kind of have a little bit of a extra space where you can kind of look out and see and enjoy. This is beautiful.
This stream here is going to run down to Spring Creek. So this is Slab Cabin Run. one of our longer streams that come into the marsh. So I mentioned that there are 3 different streams. We have Bathgate Springs, that first one. We have one that we can't really see, which is Thompson Run, that goes through the duck pond here on campus. And we have Slab Cabin Run. And those 3 combine here and go down to Spring Creek. So have you heard of Spring Creek Park? I'm sure you have. So after it hits Spring Creek, it will go the whole way down to the Bald Eagle Creek, and then to the Susquehanna, the West Branch Susquehanna, the Susquehanna, and Chesapeake Bay, and then out to the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh my goodness, you're saying this water that we just showed is going all the way to the Atlantic Ocean?
All the way to the Atlantic Ocean. So if you got into a tube and just floated your way down, you would make it to the Atlantic Ocean at some point. Some say it takes about 5 days to float down there.
So that's why it's important to protect it here, keep it clean, and make sure it stays clean.
Yes, absolutely. We don't want any of the trash here to end up into the ocean.
I have seen artists come and paint pictures, I think, of what we're showing boys and girls right now. And anyone can do that, can't they, Mandy?
Oh, yes, they can. We have artists that come out. It's called plein air, so painting in nature. And we actually have a camp that's coming up in 2 weeks. That is our plein air camp. It's called the Wonders of Nature Art Camp. And we have Susan Nicholas Gephardt that comes out here and teaches the kids how to paint. And it's a wonderfully soothing class.
That's wonderful. And we're going to show the boys and girls, you'll see their website where you can get more information with the Center Region Parks and Recreation Center. That's part of many camps that we're safely bringing back in a new way. Some things had to change about camp, but you're still trying to do it, right?
We are doing the ones that we feel we can do safely outside.
We're just walking along and talking, and I do notice that we're kind of close to a road, but you can't even barely tell that we're close to kind of the city. You're like in the middle of nature. How this is part of State College, Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, we are in State College, and campus is not too far away. It's actually a short bike ride. And if you look off here to the left, you can see the hospital up on the hill. And the hospital is just right up there.
Oh, I
Mount
see it.
Whitney Medical Center. And like I said, we are down at the bottom of a hill. So if somebody doesn't throw their trash away properly up there, it will float down here.
We got to be careful wherever we walk and take our hikes, boys and girls. Think about that for all of our summer walks, wherever you may go.
Do we know what kind of bird that is, Mandy? I believe that might be a catbird, but I don't have my binoculars.
Sometimes it's good, you can almost take a picture and then look it up later.
Yes, taking a picture and looking at the bird and trying to see what you're noticing. So I'm noticing that this bird is kind of a dark gray color. He had a black marking on his head and his tail's turned up. And that tells me that he is a catbird. And that bird, I usually hear it before I see it, sounds a lot like a cat. So if we hear it, I can let you know.
So you need to use all your senses when you're looking in nature and
Absolutely.
exploring. And having binoculars helps, and I know with some of the boys and girls are, thanks to WPSU, we've given some boys and girls some binoculars, and you can probably get one at a dollar store wherever you are.
That's great.
Boys and girls, this friend of ours just collected, can you tell us some of the things you collected there?
Thistle.
Waffle.
A thistle. Oh my goodness, they're beautiful. I see that.
See some Dame's Rocket in there. That's the purple flower.
Dame's Rocket. Okay. So this friend of ours from WPSU went out with his his dad, and he got a little shot and made sure that he was safe in collecting his special specimens of nature. So this is Otto and his dad. Sam, okay, Otto and Sam. And we caught them walking and exploring. And what all did you find in there? Otto, can you name again the one thing that you brought with you that you found out there?
What's in there?
So I found
Thistle. So you found a thistle.
A thistle. That's so cool.
And some wheat. Can you say you found some wheat?
Wheat. Great. Oh, Dad, how important is it to have kind of this space of nature really close?
Oh yeah,
My goodness.
we love it. We come out here with our friends all the time, and we like to go here in Bear Meadows and all the parks around State College. So we love coming out here and looking at all the animals and the rivers and stuff.
All right, we're walking back down our trail and we're finding some more beauty. What is this plant, Mandy?
This flower we have a lot of. It is called Dame's Rocket, and unfortunately it is not a native plant, but it's a very pretty plant.
So you were saying this is not a native plant, but it's close to one that you'd like to have grow here.
Yeah, so we would really like to have phlox grow here, and that's spelled with a P, so it's a really cool word, and it's a really cool plant. So it looks similar to this, but it has 5 petals instead of 4. So
That's how you can tell the difference.
yeah, and it's a little lower, but the best way to tell is you can count 1, 2, 3, 4. That is Dame's Rocket. At 2 different plants side by side. So one has the red berries that you'd notice right away, and kids really like to pick these and squeeze these. They definitely have a lot of seeds in them, but it's important to know that this bush here is called honeysuckle, and it is non-native plant. That means it came from Europe. It came from another place. It came from Europe, and the ladies really like the smell of the flowers. So when they came over, they were planting this in their backyard. But what they didn't know is that there's nothing here that will eat it. No bugs will eat it. So it really has an advantage. It grows really big, and it shades out some of our native plants. So we'll see here, there's some dogwood. And if you're looking at this dogwood, you might see some areas where it's been eaten. It's going to berry right now. It's not at berry just yet, but the birds will eat these berries really quickly. So we want more of this and less of this.
Whoa, they're moving so fast. I'm not sure I'm capturing this, Mandy, but these are cool. What kind of birds?
They are
we
barn swallows, and they come here every year. So they will come back in the spring, and they really like to lay their eggs here. Barn swallows, if you're watching them fly, if you can see them, they dip and dive kind of like a bat. So they can move all different ways and move really fast. And that's because
I'm trying to follow them. Oh my goodness.
There's a couple other different birds in there now, but the barn swallows are looking for insects.
Boys and girls, I'm trying to keep my shadow out of this beautiful clear stream. Hopefully you can get a good shot, but the best thing to do is come and visit yourself. This is open, dawn to dusk, and you have to bring a grown-up with you if you come and you're pretty young, because we don't want anyone to get hurt, and come safely. What are we seeing?
This is our really cool plant. It's a sedge. So the way that I remember it is sedges have edges. So if you feel this on the outside, you'll notice that it's in the triangle shape. So it's got edges on it around.
It's not round.
It's not round. And we had a little rhyme for that. So sedges have edges.
Okay.
Rushes are round, which is another kind of grass, or another kind of greenery.
Okay.
And grasses go all the way to the ground. So sedges have edges, rushes are round, and grasses go all the way down to the ground.
This is the dogwood flower that Mandy showed us before. This one looks like it's flowering. And this is native. Dogwoods naturally grow here.
So here's a really great area that we bring kids for a stream study. And a stream study is when we scoop out little insects and we look at them, and those insects will tell us whether the water is clean or whether the water is polluted, which we don't want. So usually we're scooping out mayflies, which you'll learn about fly fishing. And those tell us that the water is really clean. And if we spot a baby dragonfly nymph in here, we know our water is the cleanest water. And that's what we want to look for, is those dragonflies. So if you see a dragonfly near your home, you know that there is very clean water nearby.
Very good. And how can we, boys and girls, keep it clean, Mandy? What can we do at home, or what can we do to make sure that things stay clean?
Yeah, so making sure that we keep our soaps and chemicals and gas put away in a safe place, because like I said, if a storm comes and rinses all of those out of your yard, they're gonna come to a wetland.
So boys and girls, you can kind of gently remind your grown-ups, I guess, hey, let's take a look at what we have and where things are placed and keep them safe.
Yes.
That would be a good thing to do.
Yeah. Here we have our shade garden. So it has a lot of native plants in it, and it's all volunteer based. We have a wonderful volunteer that does all of our gardening. Her name's Danielle Lanigan, and she has planted these wonderful spice bushes here. And spice bush is a great native plant. It's great for the ecosystem, and you can also make a really good drink with the stems of the plant.
Can you show us? You take one off,
So
and then
you
it's
take these
safe?
off. Yep, you wait until the plant, it's in the fall when the leaves are falling off, and you take the sticks off, and you can make a tea out of that.
Do they actually smell right now if you were to smell it?
A little bit, a little bit.
Okay.
Yes.
Ooh, I'm gonna take that so when you come, you can see that.
Before you go, I just wanted to show you where the restrooms were. We have our Spring Creek Education Building here. Just got a nice coat of stain, and your restrooms are in there. And then we also have large spaces for our programs. So coming up, we have a soap making for adults, but we also have our puddle jumpers class, which is a preschool aged class in the lower level that typically goes on from August the whole way to May. And then behind you, we have the barn. And the barn space is a huge area that we hold weddings and camps. And we love this space so much. You could even have your birthday party in one of these two buildings.
Ooh, that's good.
And you'll get your own naturalist to come walk with you along the trails.
Oh boy, Mandy, and we've had a personal tour with Mandy here. So as we give you a wave goodbye, we thank you so much for sharing your beauty of Millbrook Marsh Nature Center with all of us. We'll see you soon out on a trail.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Bye.
So boys and girls, as I end today's Wednesday walk here at Millbrook Marsh Nature Center, I'm hearing the streams. I'm looking through my binoculars at some of the birds and the beautiful plants. And these are all places that you can come to and visit too. And it is open now. It's free and open to the public. But there's probably places in your home or in your backyard or in your neighborhood that also offer some beautiful wetland areas. So check it out here at Millbrook Marsh, or check it out closer to home, wherever you are. Stay safe, keep those waterways clean and clear, and enjoy nature this summer. Stay tuned. Miss Kate's going to have a great camp tomorrow coming up, and she's going to talk much more about the wetlands. And then my friend Laura is going to create some cool crafts on Friday tied in with the wetlands as well. Hope to see you again. Thank you.